Hey guys, what's going on? So my name's Jevin Dovey and this channel is Wanderworks. If you haven't been here before, we're vloggers. We do a ton of camera tutorials, lots of drone footage and all that good stuff. We're here in New York City. Actually, we're not. We're at a soundstage in Hollywood working on something. They have this cool standing set. But I wanted to bring you an updated video on the active track mode for the DJI Mavic Pro. So I was one of the first people to get the DJI Mavic Pro because I was one of the first people to pre-order it, and I got it when they first got released. So I've been super pumped about active track from the get-go, and it's been one of those features that's been something I've always wanted to use because there's lots of situations where I may want to fly the drone but not necessarily have to be in full control. For example, if I'm shooting myself. Here's my review of the active track up until now because I've been using it non-stop, and some tips and suggestions for when you go out and use the active track on your shoots.
So let's break down what active track is. Active track is an automation that allows you to grab a subject on screen and keep it framed in the center the whole time, no matter where the subject moves. With your active track, you can either follow behind the subject, in front of the subject, or parallel to the subject. My honest opinion, using this mode is a mixed bag. Sometimes it works perfectly, giving you amazing shots, and sometimes it fails and misses the shot completely. So when using this mode, I only really use it if I know the settings are ideal to work properly and I have some time to get it set up or have the opportunity to run the shot multiple times. Being a vlogger and documentary filmmaker, there's many situations where I have a few seconds to really nail the shot. So I've been flying in manual many times where you may think that active track would work perfectly. And this is because when you have only a few seconds to get the shot, you can't rely on something that's an automation to necessarily get exactly what you need. So the most successful shots that I have come up with using active track have all been in big open fields or on the ocean, with my subject being contrasted from the background and not near anything else. This means that the subject looks very different from the background. So think like black on white or white on black. You have some sort of contrast. So like a boat in the water. And for example, if I'm like hiking in the desert, a person is going to be more contrasted than the sand. Also, something I've found that is when you're trying to grab your subject and lock them in, they need to be stationary or very slow moving. When I've tried to grab any fast moving objects like a speeding boat, it sometimes won't grab the object, or it grabs it, loses it, grabs it, loses it. When you're really trying to lock onto something, I've always found that you have to have something slow or stationary to really get a solid lock. With the active track, it keeps the subject in the center at all times. If the camera has a solid lock, then it works great. So when you lock onto something, have the subject move around slowly to see if the lock stays. And then from there you can speed up and get the shot that you want. I've found the best looking shots are when you have the drone lowest to the ground as possible. Having a horizon in your shot gives you a real sense of depth, and the tracking looks really good. If you're too close or too high to the subject, it tends to give you a very boring bird's eye view that's not very cinematic. However, it does work in some situations. With any automation, you have to remember that it's just following a set of preset rules. Using an automation on the camera won't necessarily give you the best looking cinematic shots, but it will give you a shot where your subject is centered and continually followed. So you'll still get a shot. There's also many times where this mode works great because you might be alone and you don't have someone else to fly the Mavic. So for example, when I'm out hiking by myself, I'll use this to get some cool shots of me hiking that you would never get without having this automation. So I think there's definitely time and place when it works better. Overall, what I've found, if I have a short period to grab the shot, then I tend to shoot manual. This way I can get exactly the angle I want and know that the camera isn't going to randomly shoot off and look the other direction at the wrong moment and lose the shot.
All right, I gotta take a break for a second and show you this. Here on set, one of the guys on our crew brought his dog, and his dog likes to skateboard. Say hello, Einstein. 3, 2, 1, go.
So here are my quick tips when planning out your active track shot. Number 1, plan out your shot before taking your Mavic in the air. Number 2, make sure there's a clear line of sight between your subject and the Mavic. Number 3, make sure there's a decent amount of contrast between your subject and its background. Number 4, avoid areas with obstacles that will cut off the line of sight or be in the way of the Mavic as it flies. And number 5, practice, practice, practice.
All right guys, thanks for watching. Active Track is a super cool feature on the DJI Mavic Pro, and I suggest that you go out and play with it as much as possible and really test it out for yourself. See what settings work for you to get the best results. Because with an automation like Active Track, it works really well, but it works really well when you practice. Guys, so make sure you subscribe. We have a ton of tutorials coming out. Also, Me and Rachel are going to be traveling the world for the next year. So guys, there's going to be lots of awesome vlogs and lots of awesome tutorials from around the globe. Subscribe and we'll see you on the next one.